It's time for the Pat and Patti Show, starring Patti Smith and Pat Hughes. Well, we're here with the Pat and Patti Show, and we're going to go a little bit closer so that Patti doesn't sparkle quite so much, I think, in that elegant.
The star.
In my own mind, if nowhere else.
Maybe it should be the Patti and Pat Show.
Or just the Patti Show.
Well, we're actually talking about changing the name and coming up with a little bit different paradigm, and so these types of thoughts are not that far-fetched.
Right. Maybe we should have a contest on renaming our show.
Well, okay. Feel free to pipe in with a new name. Maybe
no expletives, please.
There are some who will not come up with nice names, but then they're not nice people.
Well, anyway, what we're running into is we understand that you, Deena, have a particular challenge ahead of you.
That's right.
In that you've got a son that you're going to pull out of regular school and you're going to homeschool. And this creates a whole realm of questions and concerns, and I'm going to let you talk about it, okay? Talk about it for just a minute.
Okay, well...
A monumental task, Deena. I salute you.
It is.
I'm telling you.
Well, this year, my son is going into the 3rd grade.
And he's smart. He's like a little sponge.
Yes. But anyway, so I was happy, with like the kindergarten and the 1st grade. I mean, I was active in the PTA just so I could kind of figure out what was going on with his school and, who the best teachers were to get and, what to do, what not to do. And so, like the 1st year when he was in kindergarten, write that letter and say, I want, this teacher or this kind of teacher, and don't put him, in this kind of class. And
how'd that work out?
Well, this past year they did me wrong.
Oh.
Well, I had heard to avoid the inclusion class like the plague.
What's the inclusion class?
It's a class where you have children who, I guess, have individualized education plans. Maybe they have...
They're special ed.
They're special ed students, but then they also have children who are just, regular students, and they put both of them in the class. And I had heard, before he started school to kind of avoid that. So... I'm like, well, okay, that kind of seems like a good idea, because I just don't see how everybody can get what they need to when the teachers' attentions are, diverted by, dealing with so many different
When I was in
kids.
school, we had 3 different levels. The high, the smart kids class, the other kids class, and then the middle class.
So, after...
we need to segregate things, because segregation was, okay. So I did that.
Okay,
I understand. You recognize that I'm the parent of a child that was up for inclusion at one time.
No, but it makes the playing field for the smart kids. It gives them an advantage so they can go further, and the kids that are in the lower end class, it doesn't overwhelm them with stuff they're not prepared for. So I think it's good to kind of
I actually
break
understand
them up.
being a relatively bright young man in my day, I had to deal with, the advantage is that people that were in my situation ended up teaching the other kids as opposed to the teacher having to teach them, because we would get it and they would say, the other kids, what's she talking about?
Really?
Okay. Well, anyway, so I did that. So I did that.
That was inclusion.
So I did that kindergarten year, and I knew some people whose children had ended up in the inclusion class, and every single one of them said that their child had had a horrible experience being in there in the inclusion class, and so every single one of them I knew, going forward, they wrote that letter at the end of the school year for the next year saying, do not put my child in. So I'm just like, well, okay. So now I've heard from people who I know that have kind of validated what I heard. You know, I mean, because you try to go into things with an open mind, but you know, you hear people tell you things, you know, and you have to take their advice because they've already have kids in the school system. So, you know, I'm like, well, okay. So I did that, you know, kindergarten, first grade. I did that for second grade. Well, lo and behold, what did they do? I wrote the letter, and so he wasn't put in the inclusion class. He was put in a class that was like a step down. It was like another class that had
Low skill level, kind of a step down?
well, no, it's not necessarily. Well, I guess IEPs, I guess, can cover all kinds of things. It can cover people who have children who have, I guess, dyslexia or ADHD or all kinds of physical and mental, you know, impairments. So anyway, so he got put in this kind of like tier down class.
Mm-hmm.
And so here he is at the back with like 6 other children in his class that do not have an IEP. And so his teacher basically goes and tells them what to do, and so she's working with the rest of the children. So I really kind of felt like he got shortchanged this year because he wasn't getting the instruction that he, you know, deserved, because the teacher's attention was focused on the other children.
Right. Well, so what are you going to do now, Deena? I mean, have you decided, are you going to homeschool him? Or are you going to send him back to school?
Well, he's going to a hybrid. There are a host of options for people besides just private school, public school, or strictly homeschooling. There's a lot of options out there that are called hybrid education, and what that involves.
Keep talking, Deena. He's writing me notes.
Oh, okay. Are they love notes?
No, it's trying to tell me what to do. And
Yeah, basically what I'm saying is,
and
all
that
right,
never
let me-
works well.
let me, no, that's true. What I'm trying to do, folks, is, and you can see it when I bring the camera up.
Okay.
When we're talking, when she's talking, I want to have the shot on her and not have us. And I want you to sit here and say, "Oh, let's do some discussion now."
Okay.
Tap me so I can go to a wide shot that shows all of us, so that we're not
right.
ephemeral voices from beyond.
I'll wave
Okay.
next time
Okay.
I want to
So-
say
Well,
something.
no, you tap me on the shoulder or
Okay.
do something, okay?
How about hit you on the head?
So
Okay.
hybrid homeschool is basically where your child would go anywhere from 5 days a week to 1 day a week for, you know, various different number of hours in the day, and they are in kind of a classroom setting, and they learn, and then they take, you know, work home to do with them. So you know, they can go anywhere from 5 days a week, like what my child is going to do. I've got a neighbor who homeschools her child and goes to a homeschool hybrid, and her daughter goes twice a week. So there's a lot of different options out there, and after doing a lot of research, I decided that that was the best route, because really when you sit there and you decide, well, okay, public school is not working for me, and you know, the other reason was, after kind of my experience that I had, the other reason was I do not like anything about Common Core. So I'm like, well, okay, I'm gonna pull him out. And
So what have you been doing? I mean, you've got some books.
I have been researching homeschool curriculums and private schools, and it's very scary.
Yeah.
I mean, because you really have to know what's in those books that they're teaching your child. And I mean, this goes for public education too. I mean, you really have to understand what they're teaching them in science, as well as the history books. And
Are they still teaching science in school? Because I thought if it wasn't in the Bible, if it wasn't real.
Well,
I mean,
I think you've got a
Well-
variety. You've got the people that homeschool from a religious standpoint. You got people that homeschool from my child is gifted and needs to move faster than they're able to move in the public
Well,
school.
that was what
particularly with inclusion. And then there's the curriculum, like the K through 12, which is the state-sponsored thing that is privatized schools in a real sense.
Right, and once you decide that, maybe public education is not your best option, then there's a whole host of things that you really have to look at, because then I started thinking, well, let's look at the private school option. And unfortunately here in Paulding County, there's not a lot of options other than religious private schools.
What a surprise.
Well, even in our time, there were the primary private school option in the larger cities was the Catholic high school,
Yes.
where they did definitely have religious training, but it was pretty segregated. They, in other words, people that were not Catholic didn't necessarily have to do certain types of classes, and it was not oriented politically. You seem to point out that there, in fact, you begin to get an idea from things like the Dinosaurs.
I'm very interested in this.
Talk about some of the problems that you've seen with the religious curriculum.
Okay, well, I mean, first I started off and I was looking at the private schools, and most of them within reasonable driving distance from Paulding County are religious in nature, and some of the major book publishers like Abeka and Bob Jones have some things that are kind of interesting. I believe that God created the earth, but I don't get down into the minutia of how long ago it was or anything like this, but some of these textbook manufacturers are pretty ardent that the world was created 6,000 years ago, and
science be damned. Science be damned.
And they're anti.
Well, I think the problem is
anti-evolution, and
I love this picture the most. Is this
we're going to put it up here.
Okay, well there was this one.
Is this a dinosaur pulling a cart?
Okay, well here's this one book that I came across that really kind of illustrates kind of what a lot of these curriculums emphasize. I mean, here's one that says basically, if man can live with and tame creatures such as elephants and whales and tigers and bears, it should not be hard to understand that man could have lived with and tamed dinosaurs.
Yes, and man could be a fish too.
It could have been, I mean, we don't know what happened, thousands and millions of years ago. I mean, how horrible it is that I'd say millions of years ago, because some of these people really believe that
the Earth is 6,000
years ago, and like I said, I believe God created the Earth, but I really don't think that we can say absolutely what happened or how God created this. And to have such a prominent place in your science materials espousing this one
things that are not true.
Well, yeah, no.
Do
they have Santa? Let me ask you this: do they have Santa Claus in there? I mean,
no.
the problem with this is that children are so literal in their understanding.
Exactly.
And to teach them this as the literal truth in a textbook is, I mean, we get away with doing Santa Claus, and it teaches a lesson, okay? That it's better to give than receive. That's what Santa Claus gives. That's the Santa Claus.
Or if
lesson.
you're bad, you don't get presents.
But I know that there are people out there who believe that the Bible is the inerrant, infallible, literal word of God, and
what do you have any?
I don't necessarily.
What is the presumption? What do you presume is the purpose of them teaching this as literal truth?
It's indoctrination.
Yes, into their religion.
Into their political point, and it doesn't include a political point of view.
Well, yes, it does.
I think it does, especially when you hear right-wing politicians basically saying the same thing, and it lines up with what's in these textbooks.
You're talking about
the
Mr.
preachers
Huckabee
now.
or former Governor
Yes.
Huckabee saying that the world's 6,000 years old and.
And I don't like Common Core because I feel like they're trying to indoctrinate my child also. So I mean, I've got as much problem with this as I do.
But yeah.
What about the state-oriented K through 12 program that is another alternative, the computerized?
I looked at that, and I have heard, some mixed reviews about it. I mean, some people said that they thought that it was rigorous. Other people thought that it bogged them down too much administratively because you had to keep records and whatnot. But some of my problems with it is looking at who founded it.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's like
this is
Howard
proper
was tied into
It's hedge fund managers, Michael Millikin.
and
These people aren't interested in education.
And then all
They're
these
interested in
people
money.
are tied into, the Gates and the Waltons and everything, and that's what, who's been pushing this Common Core stuff.
know,
So,
and-
I just would like to have my child to learn. Not revisionist, just learn about what happened in the world and learn science and also learn a process, I guess it's called classical education model or whatever, that teaches him to think and critique and poke at things and come to his own conclusions about things. And
But we don't
thinking.
want. We've not been.
critical thinking skills.
But we have not been doing critical things. You mentioned the word revisionist, and that there was a story in the news here in the last week or so about the Texas school book determination, and they've changed the entire concept. I'm a little bit vague on exactly the term, but they're basically saying that slavery and the Civil War, they're rewriting the history of the Civil War.
Yes.
And that
they're saying that it was all about states' rights. Yes, states' rights to own human beings.
No, that would be property rights to own human beings.
Well, the states wanted to allow that right to their citizens to own human beings.
I'm sorry, history is what it is. It's history. It shows that humanity can be absolutely barbaric.
Yes.
And you people don't need to whitewash that. History is what it is. I'm sorry if it's politically incorrect or whatever, but it is what it is.
I mean, this
say,
country was founded on genocide of the Native American population.
Yes.
Well, we didn't study that closely, and it wasn't really. I can say from my experience, and this goes back to the 50s. They didn't really even They didn't get past the beginnings of World War I in my history classes in high school because anything since was too controversial. In other words, the New Deal and that whole bit really was not an element of study. That's the way that they avoided it when I was young, is they just, history classes were real slow, and they covered it, it was just real slow is what it amounted to. But
but they taught things like I remember learning about libraries in Mesopotamia, out in the Middle East, where there were 5,000 years old, but yet according to these people, that's impossible.
They should have
because
had
the Earth is only 6,000 years old. 5,000 BC plus the 2,000 since the sea. Well, that would make it the Earth 7,000 years old, and they just can't accept that possibility because I know people that say if it's not in the Bible, it's not true. And, you can believe anything you want in your church and in your home. I'm not trying to attack your religion. I'm trying not to have your religion mess up our school systems.
Well, I tell you what, our school systems are by definition in a real difficult time, primarily because we know the digital revolution, which, you got to recognize the rate at which knowledge is being generated, whatever. I mean, even some of the futurists are saying, oh, we're going to have a singularity in by 2039 or something, where artificial intelligence is going to so overwhelm us. In fact, it's considered. I mean, Musk and these type of folks are coming out and making statements about, we need to be careful with the AI, because
yes, we do,
because we may not be the smartest bird in the nest, so to speak.
Listen, all you have to do is look around anywhere you go and know that we're not the smartest birds in the nest.
Well, I know, but see, AI has the ability, because of the networking ability and everything. I mean, it has such fantastic potential, but it also has the dangers, etc. And religion itself is becoming more uncertain of humanity's future. I mean, we see this with the Muslims and
right. Everybody's certain that we're at the end times.
Yeah,
well, they've been certain of that forever. I mean, if you look back through history,
well, the bomb shelters from the 60s.
Oh yes, the bomb shelters from the 60s. Oh, that was going to save the world. Now, I mean, now people got dirty old food with spider webs. The bomb
in
shelter.
1999, the world's going to come to an end.
Exactly. Got to get me more guns and more ammo. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I would point out is that in the case of the K through 12 thing, there's obviously some issues with the computerized education that the state is sponsoring. It has basically been put together by...
I don't trust Michael Millikin.
Well, yeah,
hell no.
And you don't necessarily...
No.
It was,
or Bill Gates.
I don't trust Bill Gates. That's
oh, hell
I
no.
told him I don't trust Bill Gates to educate my
No.
child.
The laws that created, made this possible for the states to do this, to contract with these type of internet companies for this, were sponsored by ALEC in 2004, and
a horrible organization.
Well, it is an organization that is, I hate to be
I don't
polemic, but what they're trying to do is they're saying, gosh, this thing ain't working as far as public education. We can, there's so much promise with the computerized stuff, and there really is a tremendous amount of promise with it as far as the ability of people to go at their own speed and whatever. I'm very much into the technology and the potential of that.
Well, a lot of the homeschool models are utilizing computerized education.
They've given up cursive.
If you feel comfortable teaching one thing, then, as a parent, you can teach that. And then if you don't feel comfortable teaching physics and calculus, well, you can go online and just buy that class. And the student sits there.
There are universities that are providing free lectures and coursework and whatever.
Places like MIT are offering free online classes.
Coursera, you can go.
We put on a class from Harvard on ethics. On Paulding.com.
Wow.
I mean, it was like a 12.
That
was my thought at the time.
We're in desperate need for some ethics.
But the point is that they're looking at a future that says to them, gosh, we won't have to pay property tax if we get people to buy their own computers and educate themselves online using this stuff. It won't cost us as much. And money. I know, and that they're not.
They're not using their
if they can privatize it and everybody can make money. That's
what's ultimately happening with public education now. I mean, I really feel like Common Core was set up to sell textbooks and sell tests, and then
it's all about money. Yeah, it's not about education.
Then as I'm starting to research,
your local
Core
schools are sitting here. I mean, that's a hot button issue. But the local schools are here as the center of a community, and the aspect of the communities like we have had for millennia. Yeah. Okay, this is a central element, and it's got a very positive purpose in a community, and it gives people jobs. And how are we going to?
There
are things that we need to think about in this whole thing that besides saving a couple of bucks on taxes.
Right.
And also we need to worry about educating kids. But we politicized the whole damn thing that it's really
because everybody wants to shove their propaganda through the public school systems to indoctrinate the kids. I mean, what, it was a couple of years ago in Georgia, there was this hot button issue. We've got to teach Bible in
they passed a law.
High school as an elective.
Glenn Richardson got that.
Really?
Glenn Richardson.
Really? Well, let's teach Islam. Let's teach Buddhism. I mean, you just open that door.
Actually, Glenn Richardson got that law passed, and from our knowledge, it has not been implemented in any school district in the state of Georgia.
I mean, he was
in his law, it did. He probably raised some money with it.
Pandering to a certain constituent.
Yeah, he raised money with it.
Right.
That's what a lot of our
People
laws
who feel
are.
that their religion is under attack. Well, I feel under attack by their religious preferences. It's like they want to shove their religion down everybody's throat, and we're just supposed to bend over and take it. Well, think again.
I got to say this. We sit here and we talk about a variety of subjects. We've been talking about politics, and now we have jumped the
Shark.
Jumped the shark, and now we're in religion. Let's pray. Let's pray.
Dear Lord,
Let's pray.
save me from people who think their religion is better than mine.
I was thinking something a little bit more practical. It's kind of like on Thad and Melissa and Thad. Thad is, things have looked awful dark here recently, and I just got a text from Melissa how things are really looking up, but it doesn't appear that he's had he had any damage to his heart or his brain when he went through this last episode, which included quote heart attack and a stroke.
So he's looking up then.
That's he's alert.
News.
I know. And so the power of prayer, the luck of the draw. It was a good day yesterday for all God's children. I don't know. You understand?
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
when
saying.
my mother was in the hospital dying, I prayed and prayed and prayed my heart out for 24 solid hours, and the answer was no.
Well, sometimes it is.
Sometimes God has His own will and timing, and it's different from
yeah, and he was talking about you've talked about his involvement in your life directly and whatever in so many ways.
Oh, yes. I have a very
close
connection to God.
And I don't think
but he said no. Okay, well.
And I don't think you have to have a religion.
My mother was tired.
Here's my thing: you don't have to have a religion to have a relationship with God.
No, you don't.
You can draw
As a matter of fact,
inspiration from multiple religions, or
I see religion as a
spirituality.
middleman between a human being and God. The religion is just a middleman. Now, if you trust this charlatan, often middleman, then good luck to you. But I don't trust somebody to tell me what God
You
thinks.
sound like a Protestant, and the
I
Protestant
think
Reformation was
some people-
exactly about we don't need no priest to tell us what to
Religion
do.
can be a good thing for some people if they need more structure in having a relationship with God.
Well, I feel sorry for them if they need more structure in having a relationship with God. I would say that that's their problem, not mine. So they can have any kind of thing they want to with God, as long as they keep it in their house and in their church, and don't bring it into the public square to try to shove it down my throat, because I'm not having any. I've got a wonderful relationship with God. Well, it is true that I didn't talk to Him for a while right after my mother died, but we're back on speaking terms again. So,
well, what does he got? What's the latest from heaven?
well, that I'm supposed to forgive all the people that had done me wrong, and that I'm supposed to be a kinder, gentler, more loving person. Because when I hate somebody, whether if you hate Barack Obama, or you hate me, or you hate Deena or Pat, it says more about you than it does about any of us.
And believe me, it has taken a long time and a lot of introspective on her part to get her to that point.
Yes, it
Yay!
has. And Deena has been my spirit guide.
And on that note, we'll say that you have made. What choices have you made at this point? And tell us about the choices that you've made regarding the education of your
We're
your
going.
son?
Well, we're going to go the hybrid route.
Okay. Is this going to be are you going to enroll them in any particular educational school or religious school?
Non-religious.
Okay.
Non-religious.
Does it involve classes at a specific location with a specific set of teachers or teachers?
Yes.
Okay. And this is can you say what it is? What entity?
No, I'd rather not.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fine. Would you, if somebody PM'd you under the Rose Luxemburg name, would you tell them that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like it's a great secret. You just don't
No.
want to.
No, I'm not
well, I
gonna
appreciate
broadcast
that. I would like if they're a private entity, they take money, I assume,
Yes.
for the process.
Yes.
Well, they ought to give me money to advertise them.
That's right.
Before they do that. So we'll leave
Well,
it at that.
I
and,
think we.
But I looked around, and
is it in the county?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is in the county.
Well, we've got to do something to improve things because, especially this book situation, because most of these books, a good many of them, come from Texas, and we all know what geniuses they are in Texas. And
Well, no, they don't. These are
no. But many school books are. I mean, they a lot of
That's
the
the public
nation's-
school. The public school.
Yes, a lot of the
Textbook.
nation's school
Well,
public
right, because
but-
California and Texas
Yes.
are the largest markets
Yes.
for public
And
public
they
textbooks,
and they have
so
in Texas
the-
they have politicians making these decisions about what goes
Right.
in
The
these.
good
recently,
news- there is good news.
Recently, they had
There
a
is good news.
homeschool mom that was placed. I think it's as
The chairman.
the chairman of the Board of Education in Texas, and those are the ones who decide
On the textbook.
Right.
on the textbook
But
and
here's
what's going to be
here's-
in the textbook.
here's
the
and,
good
and
news.
here's the thing:
But-
most homeschoolers are very well. Homeschooling started off as a movement from the very conservative religious base,
Right.
and so. I don't know if this woman is of that persuasion or not, but odds are she probably is.
Yes,
and
she
so,
is.
some of this material that you see in some of these
Is
textbooks that are used in the
shaped by her
on the
religious beliefs.
Yeah.
homeschool
But here's my
market,
problem.
could end up in.
I have a
in
solution
the-
if you
in
want
the
to hear it.
Texas
If you want to hear a little bit of the solution.
public school books,
The
like
Kindle-
this argument on evolution.
The digital
and-
books are supplanting paper and ink books very rapidly and more so because they can be edited, they can be presented, they don't, you could actually, they're not stuck, they're not engraved in stone.
good because we don't want
And
our
that is the
nation's we
solution
do
to
not
this.
want our nation's children learning what the people in Texas think they ought to know, because if you look at a recent they're on YouTube, you can Google Texas Tech and student interviews. They interviewed students at Texas Tech to see what they knew about America and about history. They didn't know who won the Civil War. Some of them didn't even know who fought in it. They didn't know what it was about. They didn't know who the Vice President of the United States was. They are some of the
but
most
Patty,
pathetically
that's not
informed
just a
students.
Texas youth thing. That's just a generational thing. They're more interested in what Snooki is
Right,
doing.
they knew who
than
Snooki was.
What's going on
Yeah,
in American politics?
Yeah,
or history, or science, or
But I think that's a
anything.
problem. When they
It's
know
a
they can
realm of
identify
reality.
Snooki and who's married to Brad Pitt, but they have no idea what the Civil War was. They have no idea about World War I or World War II or what makes us who we are today.
And I know all about all those things, and you know what? I can't even come up with the name of the guy that used to be the Tonight Show host.
Johnny Carson?
No.
Dick Parr?
No, more recent. The guy with
Jay
all
Leno?
the cars. Yeah, Jay Leno. Jay Leno used to do that exact
Jaywalking,
shtick all the
yeah.
time. Jaywalking, and he would go out and interview
Right.
people and show how
Right, but these,
uninformed people
but
are.
these were students at Texas Tech. Wouldn't you think they'd have a little bit of a brain in their head? They didn't
No.
appear to.
No.
No, they're not. They're more interested in when's the party Friday night.
And what kind of beer are they serving?
Well, yeah, it could be. It could be
I
craft
guess
beer.
I was a freak. I went to college to get an education.
Yeah,
Imagine
you were.
that. Imagine
smoked
You
that.
did. And you went through it in
smoked
4
some
years, I
pot
bet.
too, Patty.
Huh?
You went to college,
You-
and you smoked some pot too, so you partied a little bit.
Well, yeah, but smoking a little pot and getting an education and drinking occasionally is that's okay. As long as I'm not hurting anybody but myself, it seems to me that it's okay. But I got an education. I actually got one, but not these kids. And I bet
Well-
they're smoking a little pot too.
Yeah. Well, they're
Any-
dumber than a stomping.
Fighting proud of it.
Okay, on that, I'm going to say it is time to say goodbye for the Pat and Patti Show this week. And,
Adios, amigos.
we may come up with a new name one of these days, but I hope you know more about homeschooling and the education and religion. Bye.